Hey, did you know silver prices are low right now because investors are selling their holdings because of a turnaround in demand? Once fears subside though, we could see a surge in demand for silver as consumers come back. A perfect time to get your silver IRA started. And this month you'll get an incredible free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin with a qualified IRA of $20,000 or higher. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347 to find out more or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, it's Jean Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, for commenting, for subscribing, and hitting the notifications button so you'll get notified about new videos. And in light of the current banning, shadow banning, and censorship we're experiencing, we ask you that you go to the video description. There's a link. It says all inspired links in one place. Please also follow us on Rumble and Locals and the other platforms, so you'll get, the full experience. All right. Today we want to talk about the most radical way and idea to save the world. And this sounds big and this sounds important, and it is. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about something we've been talking about a lot lately, why this is important to understand, because we can move past the fear once we do this. The implosion, the economic collapse worldwide is now, it's a mathematical certainty. It's not fear-mongering. It's not putting negative stuff out there. This is a mathematical certainty because this is how the system was designed. And we can only understand what the solutions are when we clearly understand what our problem is. This current financial, monetary banking system is the biggest criminal enterprise in human history. The way this system works is that most people think that government somehow creates money, and that somehow the central bank, whether that's the European Central Bank or the Federal Reserve Bank, have anything to do with government or are controlled by government, and that the government actually issues currency when they don't. It's a conglomerate of private banks that actually lends money. It doesn't issue currency through any other means but credit. What that means is when the government needs money, it needs to borrow its own currency against interest. And the biggest problem in this whole thing is this is how every transaction works. And I'll explain why we're in the situation we're in. And this was designed that way. It was created that way, always. So when you go to the bank and you borrow $10,000. You don't really borrow $10,000 that the bank already has through your signature and by promising to repay the $10,000 plus interest. This is really important. They then type that into the computer and they have just created $10,000 out of thin air that didn't exist before. So every time you use your credit card, every time you take out a loan, new money is created. The interest is never created. In any loan, the interest is never included. No matter what percentage the interest is, it's not included. So while debt keeps rising, the interest itself was never included in the creation of that initial debt. That is what the whole world is fighting over, to make those interest payments. And we're now in a situation where over the last hundreds of years, interest has exponentially grown. That's compound interest. Now it is skyrocketing. The world's governments are in debt to the excess of $300 trillion. That's $300,000 billion, if you want to understand that better. $300 trillion. That doesn't include private consumer debt or corporate debt. So this system, what it does is in cycles, it implodes, it has a crash, and during that crash, large amounts of real assets, real estate, buildings, land, equipment, all of those things are being transferred because people can't make their payments anymore, people can't afford it, so then they're being transferred to the banks. And every time this happens, more and more ownership of real goods is concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. What that means is that less people own more of everything. Of course, this is what we've seen over the past 2 years. Now, this cycle is coming to a final end. The whole system is about to implode. And this crash was mathematically baked into the system. It was always meant to do this. That's what people don't understand. It was meant to do this. It wasn't meant to be a consistently stable system. We could have had that, but the people that are in control, the entities, never wanted that. So this is what is about to happen. Whether it's happening, it's already happening, but whether we're going to see the big crash impact in a few days or a few months, it is happening. So, okay, let's move into the big solution. And this is something we've actually dedicated our lives to. For the last 10, 15 years, we have built everything around this vision. This is how important this is to us. What we need to reestablish as mankind is the security and the control over our most imminent needs. And all the ways that mankind is going about it right now are wrong. I'm sorry to say that they're wrong for the most part. And it wasn't until we read the Ringing Cedars books and until we read about Anastasia's vision about Kin's domains that we fully understood that. So the first step that we need to understand is that we need to take control of our most imminent communities. What that means is local politics need to be taken back by the people. They need to be in control of that. There are a few mechanisms within the legal system to do that. Look into things like townships, for example. Of course, there are other means to do that. But more importantly, a lot can be done on the local level. And what needs to be done over the next months and years, it's very important. We need to take our living spaces out of the commercial cycle. The land we live on, the places we live on, we need to take that out of the commercial cycle. So what that means is every species, every animal has a dedicated space to live on this earth, but humans, we don't have that. We need to pay for that. We need to buy it, pay interest on it, pay taxes on it, all that crap. It's designed that way. So our intention needs to be to distribute the land to the people if they choose to own and live on land in a proper way. This is not about giving land to live on, but renting land to live on, or the government granting you the right to live on it. No, this is to go into full ownership of that family. It's what is called a kin's domain or a homestead. But we should move out of the need to purchase that land. If you're born in a nation, if your family is born in a nation, you have the right to live on a dedicated space of land. In the kin's domains program, in this beautiful vision that's laid out in these 10 books, you get a great idea as to how that works in the real world. There are settlements all around the world. This is not eco-villages. This is actually families owning an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres of land. And they're actually living with the land, on the land, off the land. And the idea is that every family that so chooses would get this property to own. It cannot be sold. It cannot be taxed. And everything you produce on that land, all the fruit, veggies, if you choose to sell the excess, what you don't need, that cannot be taxed either. The only reason why we tax stuff today is so we can pay interest on the debt. It's only to serve this criminal banking cabal. There's no other need for taxation than that. So that being out of the way, these programs need to start happening in your local communities. These ideas need to start being introduced. In the beginning, as it is happening now, people are still buying their land. They're making sure that they actually own the land, not just a warranty deed, which most people have. Then they learn how to properly live on, off, and with the land. A living fence, digging a pond, for example, planting gardens, food forests, permaculture. Why eco-villages are not the same and are not working is because in an eco-village, it's actually communal. Everybody shares in everything and owns everything. It never works. These settlements consist of families that each own their plot, each live on their plot, have freedom to do and express themselves as they please. And then they share things like a building that's in the center of that village. They share, for example, a school and stuff like that. But they're absolutely independent and free within their family, that's the cornerstone of our societies, right? That's what societies are built on, healthy families. Now, what this will do, this is the most radical decision that we could make. Why? Because it goes to the roots. Radical, that's where the word comes from. Roots. We go to the roots of nature, roots of society, roots of our rights. And that is back to the land, air, and the water, taking control of that in the proper way. This is what we really, really need to do. And we can do this. Trust me. Just listen to me. If you have a community, a lot of these small towns, for example, when we drive through Alabama or Georgia or Florida, there's a lot of these small towns that are all but dying economically. Nothing much is going on, but there's a lot of land there, right? If people understood the power to turn that land into something fruitful, beautiful, something that benefits them and everyone around them, they could see how they could blossom and become really wealthy communities in everything they need. Clean water, clean veggies, clean air. This is the most radical thing we can and must do. And as a matter of fact, it is the only way moving forward. I'm not saying everyone. In Russia, a lot of people are doing this. All over Europe, a lot of people are doing this, even here in the United States. And Gabriel Miguel of the Anastasia Foundation, Anastasia.Foundation, he is really promoting these ideas that are from these books that have been sold millions and millions of times. Of course, Jim Gale, Food Forest Abundance, and they all know each other. We all work together. We are all synergistically connected in this. Listen to me. This is the most important thing you could study today. Most important thing. Go to Anastasia.Foundation. Go to foodforestabundance.com. All links in the video description. And learn more about this, why this is the way forward. It is not for everyone, but it will improve cities as well, because people begin then cleaning up in their cities. People begin planting in their cities, using every little space to plant gardens, plant trees, make the air cleaner, and all of that can happen within a matter of a few years. We can turn this place around. We just have to take back power and control. And I really mean that. If I didn't see a full vision of this every day in my mind and my heart, if I didn't see millions of people already doing it, I wouldn't believe it, but I do. And because our current system is coming to a screeching halt, this is going to be tough for those who are not willing to prepare, for those who are not willing to accept this, for those who are not willing to take any measures. It's going to be really, really, really tough. And for most of us, for the first time in our generations, in our lives, we're going to see people starving. We're going to see people fighting and killing each other. That is just what happens when people get hungry or unprepared and are disillusioned because the big hand that used to feed them is not there anymore. I'm sorry, but this is what is happening, and there's simply no way around it. There's no way to sugarcoat it. But when we are prepared, and when we come with vision, and when we come with family and community and friendship and kinship, boy, so many beautiful things can happen and are happening. But it's time to shift our mindset. It's time to shift our hearts. It's time to move into the vision. I encourage you once again, go to Anastasia.Foundation. Read the Ringing Cedars books. Go to foodforestabundance.com. Watch, learn, inhale, meditate, and go into action. No matter what your current circumstances are, I always say this, connect with other people. While I do not believe that eco-villages and eco-communities as such, where everyone shares in everything in a communistic, socialistic way, is the future, it might very well be a stepping stone. You connecting with a few other people, sharing a plot of land, maybe half an acre, starting a food forest, starting a garden, starting to live off the land. It might be a first step. We will talk much more about this. As a matter of fact, we're so excited that because of the information we've been putting out, because of the interviews, because of this consistent repetition, food forests are growing everywhere now. We are understanding and we will talk about this more and share. There's a big project in South Carolina, I believe, where a municipal airport will have a food forest. I mean, these are all beautiful things that are happening, and I just encourage you, become part of this. This is the future. We need to not just prepare for this imminent event of this collapse. We need to actually change and shift our ways completely, radically. And we believe this is the way forward, and then we can create a blossoming, beautiful, wonderful paradise on earth kind of world. Because when we are with the land, when you live off and with the land, you would never pollute it. You would never put toxins into it. You would never put chemicals into your own pond because fish are swimming in it, because you're going to consume that, because you're going to drink the water that, comes out of the well. You would never do that. We stop shifting responsibility and stop living in a way where we shift the responsibility to the next generation and we take it back and we benefit everyone moving forward. Inspire Tribe, thank you once again. Please look at the links in the description. Please learn more about this. Insert yourself into the vision. Magic happens when you, in your heart, in your spirit, in your mind, when you can see the way, when you can believe it. Oh my God, when you can conceive it, you can achieve it. It's so true. It's always been true. It always will be true. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon.